Good evening and welcome to tonight's City of Burnside Council meeting of July 21st, 2026. Please stand if you are able and remain silent for the acknowledgements. We acknowledge that the land we meet on today is the traditional land of the Kaurna people and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the original custodians of the Adelaide region and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still important to the Kaurna people today. We also pay respect to the cultural authority of Aboriginal people visiting and attending from other areas of South Australia and Australia, and we welcome other First Nations people to our meeting. On behalf of the City of Burnside, I gratefully acknowledge and pay respect to those who sacrifice their lives for this country and its people. We also share our concerns for all those who are currently affected by war, especially in the Middle East and Ukraine. We seek understanding and guidance in our debate as we make decisions that will impact on the lives of all who reside, study, work in or visit the City of Burnside. Grant us wisdom as we serve our community. Please be seated. Can I just make sure that all those in the gallery as well as members and staff turn off your mobile phone before we begin the meeting or onto silent. We've got a lot to get through tonight. And we must, this is for members, we must deal with the confidential item tonight. So if by 9:30 we have not started that, I will be bringing this matter forward. Be respectful of each other during the debates by listening to what each one has to say and not talk while they are addressing the council. It is important that all views of elected members are heard. And remember to use your speaker button and wait till I ask you to address the chamber, and turn off your microphone as soon as you have finished speaking. Now to the agenda items. We have one apology from Councillor Hubel. Declaration of interest at the time that item comes up. People can make declarations at then. Confirmation. I need someone to move to confirm the minutes from the last meeting. Councillor Jennings.
Happy to confirm.
Moved. Seconded. Councillor Henschke. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Public presentations. We have no public question time or presentations or petitions, but we have 3 deputations. And the first one is Mr. Blight. Would you come forward, please, Mr. Blight?
Madam Mayor and councillors, thank you for the opportunity to address. Thank you for the opportunity to address you on the proposed trial closure of Main Street, Eastwood. My name is Langdon Blight and I live with my family in Eastwood, directly opposite the Main Street Reserve and the Grove Kindergarten and within the proposed no-through road zone. I've been a resident there for 37 years. Mine is also one of the 30 or so properties reliant on Matilda Dixon Lane for garage access, so this proposal adversely affects me in a number of ways. I submitted my request to speak before the council papers were available for viewing. I've noted the papers and the associated recommendations, and I must admit wondering whether I needed to address you. In the end, I decided to proceed because I'd like to make a couple of important points before you make your final decision. The negative impact of this proposal on the amenity and safety of the local community and the users of the Main Street Reserve is substantial, and in my opinion, far outweighs any benefit. The proposal emanated from community concerns, which I submit are no more than an indication that there might be a problem that should be looked into. It's unclear what that problem is, although there are certainly lots of opinions. Those opinions are not yet backed up by any meaningful data. Is the problem speeding, and if so, when and where? In front of the Main Street Reserve in the kindergarten? Through the streets of Eastwood? And if so, which ones? Morning, daytime or evening? Is the problem the quantity of traffic? And if so, how much, where and when? And how much is too much? Is the problem the so-called rat runners? And if so, how do we know? How many actual cars enter from Glen Osmond Road and exit to Fullerton Road within, say, 2 minutes? Where do they enter and leave from and when? I know I certainly have opinions on all those things. But the point is, I don't know, and my opinions are certainly no sound basis for making such an important decision as the closure of a significant street in a busy and active community. Many of the respondents to the community consultation commented on the need for firm data to inform decision making. I suggest that firm data is the basis for determining whether there are problems and then what those problems actually are. Once the problems are identified, the detailed work can start on determining what options are available to remedy those problems. And only then can decisions be made on the best options. In this case, we've started with there could be a problem and then jumped right to and here is the solution without going through the really important intermediate steps. It's like coming up with a solution and then trying to work out whether there's even a problem to use it on. Problem, data, options, solutions. It's really not that hard. I come back to those community concerns. My opinion is that the residents who hold those concerns seem to have really focused on just one perceived problem, and that is that there could be motorists who are using Eastwood streets to cut through from Glen Osmond Road to Fullerton Road. If their objective is to solve that perceived problem only, and they weren't concerned about the really obvious negative safety implications for pedestrians in front of the kindergarten and reserve, if they weren't concerned about having a busy vehicle turning area sitting astride the Crafers to Adelaide Bikeway, if they weren't concerned about the amenity for local residents, if they weren't concerned about significant increases in traffic on Markey and Main Streets and probably John Street, and they weren't concerned about redirecting traffic down a former night cart lane, if the perceived cut-through traffic is the only problem they are focused on solving, then blocking Main Street is probably a viable idea. I submit that this so-called solution to a problem that may or may not exist causes far more problems than the single one it might solve. I hope that tonight Council will draw a line through the closure option, the option that we already know from previous traffic studies and several community consultations has by far the least community support. Having spent an inordinate amount of time and effort on the least palatable and most unwalkable option, work should now start on identifying the real problems and coming up with workable solutions. If there is a positive side to all of this, it is that there is widespread community support for that process, and Eastwood residents seem far more receptive to solutions than we have been in the past. Again, thank you for your time this evening and allowing me to be part of what I appreciate is an important community process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Blight. Councillor Wilkins.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr Blight. Thank you for coming in. I'm happy to hear your comments that you've made tonight. We all need to find a solution for the issue of road running through our suburb. And the information we have from 2015 is now 10 years plus old. So you're right, we do need to go back to the drawing board and assess the situation and count, I think. So I just appreciate you coming in and telling us all what you feel about the whole subject. Thank you.
Right, well, if there are no further questions, thank you. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in, Mr Blight. Now call upon Mr Damien Kelly.
Damien Kelly, St George's. Thanks for this opportunity to speak here tonight regarding the situation at my property at St George's. I'm seeking the removal of a 26-year-old outdated land management agreement, an ERD condition, to allow the urgent removal of a highly problematic tree on the property boundary. Our primary concern is the immediate threat really to public safety and critical infrastructure. The upper branches of the tree have grown severely around into the high voltage power lines. Alarmingly, there is a large crack in the main branch right at the crown of the top of the tree, sitting directly above these lines, creating an imminent hazard for traffic on Portrush Road and the pedestrian footpath directly underneath and adjacent. The tree significantly hangs over Portrush Road. It's frequently struck by passing trucks, semi-trailers, risking catastrophic structural failure. If the tree or its cracked branch falls, it would necessitate a partial or full closure of a major arterial road and a substantial power failure to the localised and adjacent areas. Beyond the public risk, the tree is actively destroying my home and property. Our essential services to our home, our electricity, gas, water, sewerage, all run directly under or adjacent to this tree. The tree is situated just 2.4 metres from our home, and the aggressive root system is buckling, raising the concrete and paving all around the house, threatening not only the supply of services to our home, but the very foundations of our home. I wish to clarify that this is not a significant or protected tree, and it's currently tied into a 26-year-old land management agreement linked to an old building application that predated our ownership and build. We have actively sought resolution to have and have briefed Jack Batty, the local member for Bragg, who raised it with Tom Koutsantonis as well. Following other formal legal advice, we've set numerous communications with Burnside Council to different members and stuff, and to try and seek a pathway forward. I mean, we love the green spaces and the city of Burnside. We've been here for 26 years. But this specific tree is unsustainable liability to the community safety, the state's infrastructure and our home. We respectfully request the Council approve the removal of the 26-year-old outdated land management agreement and ER conditions to permit the immediate removal of this tree. Following its removal, we are fully committed to working with our council's arborists to plant a suitable, safe species that will provide a visual, aesthetically pleasing landscape for both our home, from Port Rush Road and the St George community as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Davey.
Thank you. Thank you, Damien, for coming along tonight. I sympathise with your problem, but Moreton Bay fig trees are wonderful trees and support so much of our biodiversity. How often have you needed to have it pruned, remedial pruning?
Well, because of the land management agreement, we had been asked to prune it. And because of that, we're actually really not allowed to prune it. We've been asked before by rangers to take it away from the sign, which we've done with a sort of chainsaw and a ladder on a thing like that. But that's as far as we can touch it, really. And it's all of a sudden, it's gone from like in the last couple of years, just absolutely exploded. So obviously it's found another water source somewhere underneath Port Rush Road, and it's become quite a threat to our home, really. You know, I mean, without services, we can't live in the home. And it's as simple as that. It's actually pulled the gas pipe away from the wall, the electricity pipe away from it's actually pulled it away because the root system is travelling up alongside the original, our footings. And so pushing away and pushing up. So our air conditioner, which is on the side of the house, actually stands like that, not parallel to the house. So it's it's very concerning for us. And not only that, the main branch, the crown of the tree has got this massive crack in it. And really, all it'll take is a very windy night, and it could possibly fall on high-powered lines. And if it does that, I'm not sure who's going to be underneath it or driving past it, or there might not be anybody there.
A follow-up question. I'm not clear about not being able to prune it. What constraints are there on you on not being able to prune the tree for the remediation of the tree?
Yeah, I don't think it's
my understanding.
So I don't think it's the canopy that is the problem. It's the root system underneath. The root system is a very aggressive root system. If you know Moreton Bay figs, Moreton Bay figs, they do have a very aggressive root system, and what we see above the ground, and it's probably around about the 12, 13 metres high, which is quite a high tree, is probably double underneath the ground. And that's only what I've been told by arborists. You know, we've had 2 arborists look at it, one which we engaged ourselves, and the other which was came around from the council. And they were both of the same opinion that the tree is quite a danger. Anyway.
Councillor Jennings.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Could you just let the chamber know what sort of costs have been involved with maintaining this Moreton Bay fig, approximately? Well, I mean, maybe, I don't know. We've done most of it ourselves, really. We just get up there and just trim it as best we can. But I mean, really, we've not ever spent large amounts of money on pruning it. Like I said, I mean, the pruning now is insignificant to me. It's the actual root system is doing damage to our home. I mean, I invite any councillor to come around. I mean, Harvey came around and look at it, being one part of the ward, and he was, everybody that's looked at it has said the same thing. They're of the same opinion. They can't believe the tree is still there. I mean, I love the tree. I don't want to get rid of it, but unfortunately, I either keep the tree or keep my home, and that's the bottom line, really.
Councillor Jones.
Damien, thank you for coming in. Now, my understanding is that this tree is not even mentioned on the land management agreement because it was a twig when you built your house.
Correct.
So tell me about, the land management agreement and have you complied with everything you were required to do by the council, and where's this tree come from?
Well, originally we thought there was a land management agreement associated with the house, and then it works out that that was actually with the first building application, which became, I presume, but I've heard that the land management actually carries on through with the next build. I don't know, but when we actually moved in, the tree wasn't, like I said, it was just a small little tree, and so we thought, well, we'll keep that in there and that actually didn't have tree on the plans that were submitted and approved by council. It was screening plants. That was the definition given, a screening plant. This is not a screening plant. This is a giant tree that is taken over, and so for us it was all we've tried to do is follow what the council put in place, or whoever put the LMA and the ERD in place. We've only tried to follow that to the letter, and as you can see when you go past our home, you'll see it on Portrush Road. We try and take care of, we look after everything and that sort of stuff. But this tree is, I don't know, unfortunately come to a point now where we can't, I don't think we can do with it anymore. I'm lost for words, really. I just can't. I don't know.
Councillor Wilkins.
Thank you, Margaret. Damien, we all know the size of the trees in Plane Tree Drive in the Adelaide Botanic Gardens and the avenue leading into the gardens. Just to give everybody an opportunity to picture the size of the tree, would your tree on Portrush Road be approximately the same size of those trees in the gardens?
The root system, which is underneath the ground, I'd say is probably comparable.
Thanks.
And I would say that and it's only 2.4 metres from our home.
Right.
Which is very close, and I think council regulations normally say that they have to be something like 10 metres from the home or something like that. I'm not sure. I've sort of briefed over it.
Yeah.
But I think 2.4 metres is just far too close,
Because all of those trees on Plane Tree Drive and in Murdoch Avenue into the Adelaide Botanic Gardens are all in open space. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Davey.
Thank you. Just one further question, Damien.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that's all right.
We've heard all the challenges you're having. If the tree was approved for removal, what would you, could you give us an undertaking about what you would plant to replace it? Because we're losing all of our trees, so many of our trees.
I totally agree.
And so I'm just interested to hear what you would be happy to replace it with.
I presume I haven't really even gone down that road, just trying to, we would replace it with something that was, aesthetically pleasing for the area. I mean, you know, we try and maintain it. We've been there for 26 years, you know, we're not moving anywhere as fast. So we'd make sure we put something in that's going to last and look nice and give us a bit of screening from the noise of Port Rush Road, because it get pretty loud. And we used to call that our truck stop, because, you know, when the trucks come down, that's the only thing that's going to stop it. You know, if it was to come, you know, a truck was to come through or anything like that. But we would put something in that would be, you know, like I said, aesthetic pleasing to the area, you know, and try and, you know, yeah.
Thank you, Mr Kelly, very much for coming in.
Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
And now I'll call upon Mr Maiolo.
Cosimo Maiolo, Eastwood. Thank you for the opportunity of addressing council.
Just either sit a little closer to the microphone or move the microphone towards you. That's it.
Thank you for the opportunity of addressing council. I've been the owner of the land that abuts both Lane 1 and Lane 2 for 36 years. I refer you to my response to the public consultation, my letter formally objecting to the current proposal to name the lanes, which were hand-delivered on Monday and included photographs of all 3 unnamed lanes in Eastwood and title and survey certificates dating back to 1875. I assume you have these before you and have taken the opportunity to read the contents. The report tabled at the council meeting on the 17th of February this year stated that there were 3 unnamed lanes created in the 1880s in Eastwood, identified them and proposed that all 3 lanes be named. Following Councillor Wilkins' address, however, council elected to keep silent on the existence of Lane 3 and to exclude it from the public consultation. I refer you to the photograph of Lane 3. For the benefit of everyone, Lane 3 is the thoroughfare that connects Elizabeth Street to Matilda Dixon Lane, west of 41 Elizabeth Street. It appears on Google Maps as a road. Contrary to the administration's report, Councillor Wilkins claimed that Lane 3 was a driveway created in the 1980s when the original house on Elizabeth Street was demolished and units built on that site. She asked that it be omitted from the consultation because it was a driveway and a motion was passed to that effect. In the handouts I have provided, there is a title survey from 1875 which depicts the Lane 3 as a public road. Please note the creation of Lane 3 predates that of Lane 1 and Lane 2, which were created in 1879 when Robert Barwell subdivided a large parcel of land. Lane 3 has been a public road for over 150 years. It is not a newly built driveway. It is of equal historical significance to Lane 1 and 2. On to Lanes 1 and 2. Lane 1 comes off Matilda Street and is only 25 metres long, hardly a road. The photograph shows that it is paved, which was at my cost in 1994, and terminates at my roller door. It does not appear on Google Maps as a road because of its insignificant length and size. It fulfills the criteria set by Councillor Wilkins at the February meeting for a driveway, that is, it is paved, children use it to ride their bikes, and cars to slowly exit to Matilda Street. To accept her conclusion, it does not need to be named. The photograph of Lane 2, which comes off Main Street, terminates at my granny flat outbuilding. At the February meeting, Councillor Wilkins asserted that Lane 1 and Lane 2 had originally been one continuous lane until the lane had been built over. The historical titles in the handouts provided, however, clearly show that Lane 1 and Lane 2 were created as 2 separate roads in 1879, as noted previously. There is an underlying assumption that Lane 1 and Lane 2, which were supposedly one lane, were intimately connected to the small Caledonian brewery on Elizabeth Street, and that the naming of these lanes should commemorate that brewery. However, there is no historical evidence to support a direct connection between the lanes and the brewery, which had its road access to Elizabeth Street. The public consultation offered residents 3 options to name Lane 1 and Lane 2, omitting Lane 3. 2 of the options given paid homage to the brewery and its original proprietor of only 4 years, Charles Shand, who became insolvent. George Henry Schickel, who took over the brewery, moved the business to larger premises at Edgecombe Street in Hyde Park. The brewery on Elizabeth Street was but a fleeting moment in the history of Eastwood. Robert Barnveld's and George Viney's legacy is enduring. In summary, I refer to council naming of public places policy, which requires that road names are verified to reflect local historical significance. Caledonian Lane and Shan Lane do not represent the individuals who shaped the suburb's physical form, subdivision pattern and enduring built heritage. Barneveld Lane and Viney Lane will actually reflect the long-term residential and development history of Eastwood. I respectfully ask that Council defer naming of the lanes and reconsider the proposed names on the basis of the historical evidence provided and include naming Lane 3 in its consideration. Should Council proceed to naming the lanes without further consultation, I ask that Lane 3, which is the oldest of the lanes, also be named and signposted, just like Lane 1 and Lane 2. I believe I have the same rights in requesting this as the unidentified resident who initiated the naming of the two lanes that abut my property. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayolo. Anyone have a question that they'd like to ask? If not, I will say thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Now we move through the reports, and I'll seek those of you who wish to remove them for debate. First one is 11.1, the proposed road closure trial, Main Street, Eastwood. Councillor Wilkins, you wish to...
Yes, I do.
You wish to withdraw it?
Yes.
Customer service policies. Seeker mover. Councillor Jennings.
Happy to move.
Moving. Seconded, Councillor Turnbull.
Thank you.
Or
Make a declaration, please.
a declaration.
I've been advised because I participated in the public engagement process. Sorry?
So that's a different one.
Oh, sorry.
Right,
Thank you.
okay. So
Go ahead.
we've had a mover, we've had a seconder. All those in favour? Against? Carried. 11.3, waiver of land management agreement, Woodcroft Avenue, St George's. Councillor Jones, are you moving
I'm happy
it?
to move it, but equally I'll withdraw it if there's no...
Okay, have a mover. Councillor Davey, are you seconding it?
No, I'll withdraw it.
Well, I'll withdraw it then.
You withdraw it. Community grants. Can I have a mover? Councillor Jennings.
Happy to move.
Councillor Hallett, you happy to second it? All those in favour? Against? Carried. Resilient East Climate Action Plan. 11.5. Councillor Davey.
I'll withdraw, thank you.
Withdrawing it. Updating 11.6, updating the Burnside carbon offset scheme. Seeker mover. Councillor Jennings.
Happy to move.
Seconded by Councillor Cornish. No, sorry, Councillor Hallett it was. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Recognition, protection and restoration of remnant canopy of Lower Wattle Park, 11.7. Councillor Hallett.
Withdraw, please.
Eastwood Lane naming. Can you turn your mic off here? Councillor Wilkins, are you withdrawing it or
Yes, I am.
moving it?
Thank you.
Alteration of road name, Craddock Street, Linden Park, 11.9. Councillor Jones, are you withdrawing it or moving it?
Happy to move it.
All right, moving it. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Turnbull. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Craddock Lane.
I know Craddock's okay. It's 11.8, I think.
So when we, and you can do that when we start debating it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that one was,
I moved and Jenny seconded.
yes, so we need to put the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Irrawater budget review. Councillor Jennings,
Happy to move.
seconded by Councillor Jones.
It's a second.
All right, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Mayor's report. Councillor Henschke, you moving it? Seconded by Councillor Harvey. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Chief Executive Officer's report. Councillor Davey, you're withdrawing?
Thank you, Mayor.
Right, now, I'm going to suggest that since we have an audience here who are here for the three, related to the three deputations, that I would like to move, unless there's anyone you object to it, move 11.8 to the beginning and make it 11.1. So we start with Eastwood Lane naming, and then we move to 11.1 and 11.3 straight after.
So moved.
All right, all those in favour? All right, so therefore, Councillor Wilkins, you're starting with Eastwood Lane naming.
Just before you do.
11.8, page 290. And Councillor Davey, you wish to declare.
Thank you very much for the reminder.
It's page 290, it's 11.8. Now, Councillor
I
Davey.
wish to make a declaration that I have a conflict of interest, a general conflict of interest, because I participated in the community survey, but I will stay and vote on the matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you, Mr Mayola and family, for coming in and sharing your opinion on the naming of the lanes that are recorded here on page 290 in the agenda. I would actually like to change, alter this particular recommendation, that I don't believe that the name should be Shand Lane. I believe it should be Caledonian Lane. So I would be promoting or advocating that we actually, in this recommendation, move that the name Lane be changed to Caledonian Lane. The reason being, as Mr Mayola has highlighted, in the history of the brewery, in this particular book, which is Breweries of Australia, it is the Caledonian Brewery that is highlighted rather than the... Sorry. I'm going to actually...
The timing for a moment. Lane 1, we can't have two Caledonian lanes.
No, I think it's just we have Lane 2 as Caledonian Lane because, as Mr Mayola highlighted...
It's okay, before you do your explanation, then what is Lane 1 going to be? What are you nominating for Lane 1?
I would actually think we should just do Caledonian, but if we have to name the Lane 1 a name...
Yes, but you just said you didn't want Shand.
No, I want Caledonian.
But you can't have two Caledonian.
Yeah, I know, but it's just extraordinary. But this is how it is.
I'm going to leave it to you.
Yeah, what do you think?
Through the Mayor, just for Council's benefit, you'll recall that this came up as a proposal from a member of the community. Council has followed the naming process of public assets within its policy position.
Thanks.
The consultation results were provided to Council for your consideration. That's all been provided in the report. Based on the results of that consultation, which admittedly the numbers weren't great in terms of the response, that's the recommendations that are in front of you. You basically have a few options here that Council can consider. You either name Lane 1 and 2, different names, you can't name it the same name. You either name one of the names and don't name the other, or you name all three. You've got choices. You don't have to name the lane, but it's Council's consideration if you wish to. But we provided you the options. If you wanted to name one of the lanes based on the results of the consultation, and you still wanted to name other lanes, we could do another round of consultation on that.
You're the mover of the motion, Councillor Wilkins, so you'll need to specify what you want.
I will clarify that point 5, we delete Lane 1 and we just concentrate on Lane 2, which is Caledonian Lane, which is the southern end of the lane that goes through to the back door of the Mayola's B&B extension on the laneway. If it can be proved that lane 1 is the private lane to the roller door of that particular house, then naming the lane is not necessary. Lane 2 was the initial lane that was suggested to me that we should name, so that's how come this whole episode occurred. It is important that I think we acknowledge that in Eastwood there was a brewery, and it was a very successful brewery back in the 1880s, and it operated for 4 years as the Caledonian Brewery. So therefore I would like to move that we just have lane 2 as the Caledonian lane. It could be the Caledonian Brewery lane, but that could be a little bit too wordy. So I just suggest that we do it as Caledonian Laneway or lane. And that's my solution and the motion I would like to move this evening. I'll leave it at that. Thank you for support.
Before I seek a seconder, do we
Is that possible?
need to do a follow-up that we would go back to consultation or another, or just leave it as it is, as Councillor Wilkins has moved it?
Through yourself, no. Based on this resolution as it stands, no further consultation
Just doing
will be
lane
required.
2 only?
That's
all right. Okay, I seek a seconder then to this motion.
Thank you.
Councillor Davey.
I'm happy to, for the purpose of debate, second the motion. Thank you.
All right.
And I'll reserve my right.
Right to speak. So, do we have anyone who wishes to speak? I know we've got a lot to get through tonight, but Councillor Davey, I think you're going to have to speak. No, Councillor Turnbull, you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So does that mean that the other 2 lanes will be open for naming? We've just named 1, so the other 2 open for consultation? People to put in applications for naming?
Through the Mayor, this process, as it would, if resolved by Council, would be finalised for now. If there's a fresh approach to name an unnamed lane, whether it be in Eastwood or elsewhere, we would follow the process outlined within the policy.
Councillor Dawes.
Yeah, I'm uneasy, I have to say, and I'm reading from here what Mr Mayali, is it how I say it, has written to us on Sunday, where he requested the Council defer any decision until the historical record relied upon in support of the proposal has been independently reviewed and corrected. Now, Councillor Wilkins might be right, Mr Morello might be right, I don't know who's right. So if this motion fails, I'd be moving that motion to defer in line with what Mr Mayoli has written to us on Sunday. All three, yeah. So I just want to be sure, that's as simple as that.
Sorry, Councillor Jones.
Can I ask a question, please? How much money, how much ratepayers' money have we spent on this so far?
Through the Mayor, I don't know the exact cost, but it was the cost of the engagement process plus staff time. So it would be minimal, but I don't have that figure in front of me.
Councillor Davey, I think you'd better speak.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Yes, it is a dilemma in terms of the historic context, and I don't know Eastwood as intimately as you all do, and I respect all sides, so it is difficult. But if this didn't get up, I would support deferral, I think, as well, as Councillor Dawes has outlined, because there are some uncertainties and we might get some further information. I actually support Caledonian Lane. I think it's a great name, and I think the historical connections are there. But it seems that we need to address the other lanes as well, one way or the other.
I'll go back to you, Councillor Wilkins. Happy for me to put it to the vote? All those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried with Caledonian Lane as named for Lane 2. Thank you. Now we will move to 11.1, proposed road closure trial, Main Street, Eastwood. Councillor Wilkins, it's yours again. Page 31.
In speaking to this motion, re the proposed road trial in Main Street, Eastwood, firstly, I would like to thank many residents who have responded to this important issue of road safety in Eastwood and the staff who've worked on the issue. As a resident of Eastwood for 30 years, I do believe that I have an interest in the matter of road safety in my neighbourhood, but not a conflict as was expressed by 2 or 3 residents. I am the elected representative in this ward of the City of Burnside, so I am able to represent my neighbourhood and will continue to speak up and advocate for residents' issues. In the time I've lived in Eastwood, I've witnessed a near collision between a cyclist riding headlong into a car coming around the corner of Main Street into Elizabeth at 9 a.m. in the morning. This morning was the night after my dog had escaped at 9 p.m. the night before, and I found the dog dead in Matilda Dixon Lane, killed outright by a car travelling at speed to Fullerton Road, a hit and run. And I also thank the elderly resident who remembers a 5-year-old child who was struck and killed outside 24 Main Street nearly 50 years ago. My main concern for revisiting this issue after another 10 years, when it was first done in 2015, when the detail and data was collected, is safety for young children, elderly residents, cyclists who ride the bikeway directed down Elizabeth Street into Main Street and onto Birkin and over Greenhill Road into the city. Another resident, the member for Bragg, is working for our community to achieve a signalised crossing for pedestrians and cyclists at the Birkin and Greenhill Road crossing into the parklands. 10 years ago, in 2015, when I first raised this issue through traffic at speed was an issue, but has increased markedly because of the infill development all around us, particularly the Glenside development and the intersection at the Arkaba corner. Local road-only signs were erected at all entry points into Eastwood back in 2015, but they've not been a successful solution. Far from it. It identifies a way through the suburb to Fullerton Road. Now the entry on Go Road, Glen Osmond Road, a left turn into Marquis Street and a right turn into Main Street is the way to avoid the traffic queued at the Arkama corner into the Fullerton Road. So many residents have now had a near accident experience at the T-junction on Marquis and Main Street. 10 years on, this trial won't proceed and we will monitor traffic and continue to witness through traffic increase in our neighbourhood and collect the data. As the gate idea was, I think, an over-engineered solution for the trial, I actually think the options are to do nothing now, but investigate further traffic solution options, i.e. a sign, no left-hand turns into Marquis Street from Glen Osmond Road. I've got 2 sentences. No shortcut exit to Fullerton Road. Or install a paved cobbled street road section at Main Street Park. Open the closed corner.
Councillor, you need to stop.
Bollards, we need to do something about it.
All right.
Thanks.
And Councillor Davey, you wanted to declare something?
Oh, yes,
I need to declare, because I participated in the community engagement, I need to declare a general conflict of interest, to state that I participated in this, and that I will note that on the record and stay to enter the debate and vote. Thank you.
I seek a seconder to this motion. Councillor Jennings?
Yeah, for a
Right.
second.
Do you wish to speak now? No. All right, Councillor Dawes, you're next.
Yes, a question to administration. Just the third point, receives a future report. I always hate it when there's no timeline. I think Councillor Cornish is always onto us about a timeline. What do you think, can we put something in there which indicates, you know, that by a certain month that this report will be available?
Through the Mayor, the issue that we've been faced here with is the delay in the election period and the need to reschedule a lot of our programmes and work already planned. So I'd love to provide a report as soon as possible, but obviously there's a bit of work that needs to progress first, and I've got also in mind the caretaker period as well as the upcoming council elections, as well as already planned work as part of that process. So I'd love to say in early 2027, prior to the caretaker period, but if the caretaker period happens at that point, we won't be able to undertake community engagement, and that would be then to the next chamber after that. So I'd be happy to put as soon as practicable, but that's as best as I can manage at this stage.
Councillor Wilkins, are you happy to include in number 3 as soon as practicable at the end of item 3?
Because
All right.
it will take time.
Yes, all right. So if that can just be added, and if that's Councillor Jennings, you happy with that? Okay. All right. Now it is Councillor Jones.
I've got a question, please. Council spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on this precinct plan for Eastwood, and I understand this was the considered recommendation as part of 20 or 30 recommendations for Eastwood. Is that right?
It's partly right. I don't have the final figure for the actual precinct plan development itself, but I don't think it was hundreds of thousands. I would have to take that one on notice. But it was a precinct plan for Eastwood, Rose Park, Dulwich and a few other suburbs, so not just Eastwood. There were approximately 25, 26 recommended actions. However, this one, while it was identified as a potential solution to some of the issues being raised, it was also subject to the legislative consultation requirements that's required through a road closure process. So the issue with rat running, traffic management, speeding, etc., was identified as an issue within the precinct plan, and then the action was to undertake further consultation, which has been undertaken.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Yes. So my follow-up question then is, every time you spend, you know, time and money revising this existing precinct plan, is time you aren't spending on developing precinct plans for all the other suburbs that don't have them, and just how long is this going to go on for?
Through the Mayor, just to confirm what will happen here, we won't revise the existing precinct plan. The existing precinct plan has already been adopted by Council, and we'll consider to look at the options as part of that process. There's two projects underway at the same time concurrently. There's the design of the other precinct plans that's underway, currently in Councillor Davies and Councillor Cornish and Henschke's ward. That's underway at the moment for that precinct plan. So the design of that is going at the same time as the delivery of the other precinct plans. The funding to undertake the further review of this and the detailed design and the solutions will actually come out of the budget for the delivery of the precinct plan actions, not the design budget.
Through the Mayor, I may just add to that. These elements in these precinct plans are part of our ongoing advocacy as well. So they are things that are not going to be achieved either in one budget cycle, 2 budget cycles, or even 3 budget cycles, but they form the advocacy of how we interact with state and federal government. And so Councillor Wilkins mentioned Birkin Street, so we've been talking with the Department of Infrastructure and Transport, as well as City of Unley, to attract funding for that. Also as our bicycle network plan, which is also featured in the precinct plan. So they actually serve a really sound purpose, but these precinct plans take time and funding.
Councillor Davey.
Thank you. Yes, I support this. I have great support for my colleagues in Eastwood Ward because I've got very similar problems in my ward at Kensington Park, in Beulah Park, where we've got very early historical housing, very narrow streets, they're inner suburban, and people just think that they're just a byway and a freeway for them to get to the main roads, whether they're travelling to work or school even, or whatever. So traffic management is one of our biggest challenges at Burnside, and we've got to do it carefully and with all the right data, or as much data as we can garner. So I think a future report is justified for us to give advice about what alternatives there might be. So I'm very happy with this motion.
Councillor Hedgkin.
Thank you. I have a question for the administration. Adding to Councillor Jones's comments about the big body of work that was done by external traffic engineers who told us that, or identified what the problems were in the wards of Eastwood, etc., and Rose Park and places. They confirmed what the problems were, did the investigation work for the problems. They then came up with conceptual options for solving these problems, and that's what we've heard is being planned into the future, because you can't do it all at once. So my question is, was this road closure part of one of their solutions? Is this why we've engaged with the community about this, or was this something separately raised to the consultants? Thank you.
Through the Mayor, this was an action identified in the adopted precinct plan by the council. So that was identified through that process, and it was identified as a solution to one of the issues by the consultants, but acknowledged it's not the only solution. The consultants also advised, though, that full detailed design would need to occur as part of this process, further traffic studies, assessments, and you would have to follow on all legislative requirements under the road closure process, which has now occurred. Council has approached its community, and the community has advised Council quite clearly in the report that's in front of you tonight.
So there's another solution, another option. Thank you.
Councillor Hallett.
Thank you. I support the motion as written. I think that given that the community has spoken twice, and they've spoken twice to say that they don't want Main Street closed, I think the important point to me in the three recommendations is the third one, which looks at alternative traffic management, and there are ways of discouraging cut-through traffic or rat running, and I'd like to see those looked at, which would be where you extend a verge out and you have insert parking, or you make it a road share project. So traffic, in essence, what you're doing is making it one car at a time, so the traffic is slowed down. That's good for the locals. It's not bad if you want to cut through. It's not so good if you want to cut through. You can still get through. And the other thing I'd like to say, and I think it was Councillor Jones or somebody mentioned about, you know, the rest of us are waiting for our wards, and particularly in my ward with McGill, it's Councillor Davies, sorry. McGill is the same, very small, narrow streets, settled early, got those sorts of same problems. We're not even on the list yet to get done. So Erindale's next, and so we've got to wait. You know, we're years down the track, and it's been 4 years since I've been on council, and nothing's happened. And it is very frustrating for people living in those areas. So I think this is a good solution. Thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing what you do as the alternative measures.
Councillor Jones.
Yeah, I'm going to speak, please, Matt. Look, I'm happy with points 1 and 2, but not 3, because frankly, I'm over it. We've come up with a proposal. The community said no. That's it. Done, dead, buried. We should move on because, as various other people have said, we're waiting. In Linden Park, I'm endlessly fielding complaints about rat running, particularly down Torrens Street, and the answer I always have to give them is, we're not allowed to do anything, we're waiting for a precinct plan. Well, if we're endlessly revisiting things in Eastwood, we'll never get to Linden Park. I'll be dead before we have a precinct plan in Linden Park. And I'll still be fielding complaints from residents on my deathbed. I'm over it. We need to stop. The community have spoken. We should listen to them and say, thanks for your feedback. We agree. So I'm happy with 1 and 2, but not 3.
Through the Mayor, just for clarity, if there are issues, like serious traffic issues, just for the public record, they are not ignored and waiting for the precinct plan. Long-term issues, but if there are serious traffic safety issues and that have occurred on many streets across who have not had a precinct plan. So I think it's just important to correct the record, Councillor Jones.
Councillor Wilkins, are you happy to sum up now?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I am. Thank you all for your comments. This is a trial run for the part of the precinct plan. I'm conscious that all the inner suburbs are having this problem. We've identified the problem back in 2015. We're trying to, it's increased, it's just blown out of all proportion, and we need to just listen to people and do something about it. We've tried, they've said no, so okay, let's go around the inner suburbs and find a solution that suits all. I'm happy that we've absolutely examined it once again, 10 years down the track, and we'll continue to do so until we get a solution that suits all of those inner suburban areas in our city. Thank you for your support.
All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Now we move to item 11.3, which is the waiver of the land management agreement, page 174. That was Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to move the officer's recommendation, please. Look, I like trees. I quite like land management agreements that protect trees, even though the planning department hates them. I think, you know, opportunistically, we should take advantage of things that protect trees. However, I'm quite clear in my mind that this land management agreement that exists today did not intend to protect the Moreton Bay fig that is causing a problem at 1C Woodcraft Avenue. It was barely a sapling 26 years ago when the land was being built, and I invite everyone to go and have a look. This tree, as you can imagine with the Moreton Bay fig, is getting enormous, and it's not as big as the ones in the Botanic Gardens yet, but it's enormous. It's obviously causing problems with the foundations of the house. It's causing problems with the gas and the electricity going into the house. You can quite clearly see that it is growing into the 11,000 volt high voltage power line that runs along Portrush Road. So, you know, you talk about pruning. Well, we saw what happened when we tried to prune our River Red Gum on Glenburn Road. You had to close the road for 2 days. So can you imagine closing Portrush Road for God knows how long to try and prune a Moreton Bay fig? And who knows what would happen if this tree collapses onto Portrush Road, it's a disaster waiting to happen. So look, it's pretty simple in my mind. This council never envisaged to protect this particular tree, and I'm guilty of opportunistically protecting trees, but even I think this tree's got to go. It's inappropriate for the location. Credit to the residents for putting it up with it for as long as they have done, but it's now got to a stage that it needs to go, and they can plant the council plants trees that grow onto power lines and that aren't going to have horribly invasive root systems, and that's what we should let them do.
Councillor Davey, are you seconding?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm happy to second, but I'd like to make an amendment and add a number 4, that the landowner replace the Moreton Bay fig tree with 2 suitable trees as soon as practicable, with advice from council staff if necessary.
Through the Mayor, we might just seek some advice, Councillor Davey, because 2 trees may not be suitable for that area, but I'll seek advice from the
Can I
officers.
just justify why I'm saying that?
I think maybe if it was feasible.
Through the Mayor, if I might add to that, I'm not sure the council has the power to do that. It would seem to be ultra vires. It's a clause, a random clause that's sort of come in. The intent's understandable, but I don't think we can tie it into anything, including the existing LMA. So it's sort of there without any power behind it.
Can I just make my case? Sorry, no, I didn't.
She didn't hear.
So,
Hi,
procedural matter.
through the Mayor, it's just procedurally, if you're seconding the motion, you shouldn't be moving an amendment at the same time. You should allow someone else to second the motion, and then you move an amendment afterwards. But just for clarity, that number 4 would be ultra vires because it's out of our power.
Can I ask why? Because we do this routinely for trees that seek permission to be removed in a lot of circumstances. So I don't understand why the land management agreement should preclude us from, with our known problem across Burnside of the removal of trees from private homes, that we not require 2 replacement trees to be planted. On the advice of I'm not asking for ginormous trees, I'm just looking at how we can help our habitat. So that'd be most welcome.
Mr Heinrich, would you able to expand on an explanation as to why it is outside of our control and is ultra vires?
Through the Mayor, I'll come at it. Well, the second point first. It's not clear what 2 suitable trees would be, albeit it does say with advice from council staff. But what if there are no suitable trees? It's a very small piece of land, part of that land. It may be that I understand that the owner is keen to have something there for their own purposes as well, to help screen out Portrush Road. But what if that's not trees? What if it's a pittosporum, for example? A shrub or of some sort. I guess going to this first point second, the council would, doesn't have the power to be doing things under the land management agreement, although I accept that it's possible that it would be a condition of waiving the land management or agreeing that the land management gets to go, but only on this basis. So I guess it is possible, but in its current form, I'm not sure how we'd necessarily make that work.
Through the Mayor, yes, I think council on its own cannot just compel. I mean, we encourage, obviously, people to plant their trees, and we provide assistance with funding and grants and tree giveaways to encourage tree. So I'm not sure under what power we would be compelling the landowner to replace the tree. And it's not clear to me. I mean, we're asking to rescind this land management agreement, which is 26 years old and it's out of date. So I think it's the council could encourage the landowner to replace the trees.
So number 4 clause has to go because it's ultra vires. Are you going to be willing to second the motion then, Councillor Davey? No, all right. Then Councillor Wilkins, you're next on the list.
I would be very willing to second the motion under points 1, 2 and 3.
Thank you. So we'll remove 4 and we're back to 1, 2 and 3. And now, the next person, did you wish to speak on that now?
Yes, I will, actually.
Okay, go.
I just think if I had this tree in my garden and it was growing, and it will possibly grow to the size of those in the Plane Tree Drive in the Botanic Gardens, then this is nuts. This is just not feasible for a domestic block, and certainly not on Portrush Road, where it has the possibility of falling, damaging, impeding Portrush Road, Highway 1. It is a totally inappropriate tree in the first place, and it could have been a seed because they grow from seed. So take it out. It's got to go because the house is being damaged, the road would be damaged, somebody could be killed. I get it. But no, I support the motion for points 1, 2 and 3 for those reasons. Thank you.
Councillor Cornish.
Thank you. I also support the motion, and I would like to thank the owners for actually coming in, doing this the appropriate way, and asking us to rescind it. A lot of people would have just chopped the tree down and not told us. We have experienced that. So even though under these circumstances, I would think that given the risks, it probably would have been acceptable for you to remove the tree. There are those electricity risks. I also see a huge crack in your fence, and that worries me. Fairly close to a school. A child was killed in Prospect by a fence falling down on top of them. And rightly so. The front yard is not big. It's not big enough for a tree of this size. I'm surprised it's not actually growing in your front rooms yet. I'm happy to extinguish this or rescind this LMA, and so you can remove the tree. And I just appreciate you actually doing it in the proper manner. So thank you.
Councillor Davey.
Thank you. I have a question. I'm still confused about why we can't put conditions on a decision of council under the circumstances that we've got before us, with the constraints and all the other work we do in terms of our environment and our habitat and our biodiversity. I can't see why we can't put conditions on, as we do in planning matters, in lots of other areas. So I'm just confused, through you, Madam Mayor, how we justify not being able to put a condition on. I'm happy to change it to shrubs. I just want something replacing it. with such a huge loss of habitat that will take place.
I think during the deputation, the owner of the property actually suggested that they would be wanting to replace the tree with something that was more appropriate, something that would provide screening and noise reduction. So I think we've actually already got a verbal suggestion or even a verbal condition that they have made themselves on the after the removal of this tree. So I don't believe that this is something that we need to be concerned about, and I don't believe we can tell him or them what they can do on their land. What we're dealing with here is the rescission of this. Yeah, I thought that was a question.
I was asking.
All right. Sorry.
Through the Mayor, as you have said, Madam Mayor, that we understand that the owners are keen to do something in that space for the benefit of the community, but also themselves in terms of the outlook to Portrush Road. In terms of the question, there's no real legislative basis for imposing conditions. It's not like a planning application. We're not amending, the council isn't amending the LMA. I guess the only thing it could say is that it's only prepared to rescind the LMA on the basis that something else happens. So it's a quid pro quo scenario, which we, I guess, don't advocate because we think the recommendation survives in its own right. But I guess probably technically it's able to do it.
Councillor Henschke.
I agree with Councillor Cornish and the officer's recommendation, and thank the owners coming in, providing more information, and that the motion be put.
Moving that the motion be put. Yep. Is there someone who would like to second that motion? Councillor Jennings, you haven't spoken, so you are entitled to. All right, so I shall put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Sorry, this is voting to put the motion, yes. Sorry, voting to put the motion. All those in favour of me putting the motion? Those against? Motion's carried. Now I will put the motion. All those in favour of the motion as it stands on the screen? No, it's too late. And those against? The motion's carried. Now we move to item, no, we've done that one. Item 11.6. No, sorry, 11.5, Resilient East Climate Action Plan. Councillor Davey.
I'm happy to move in accordance with the recommendation. The council notes the work undertaken by Resilient East to develop the updated regional climate action plan, adopts the plan as a regional strategic document and receives updates on progress through our reporting framework. I just pulled this because I just want to compliment everybody on all the work that's been done to date and to say what a wonderful example it is of, I think, 8 councils working together. City of Adelaide, Burnside, Campbelltown, Norwood, Payneham, St Peters, Prospect, Tea Tree Gully, Unley, the town of Walkerville and the state government. And I think it's really commendable that we've been able to pull all that expertise, knowledge and a lot of work together to actually put this project into place. Obtain funding, I would assume. I think that's in the report. And then prioritise the actions of it. So it shows how we are managing climate risks. we've got huge challenges in that area, and this is one way that we can protect both our human capital and resources and environmental ones. So hopefully you'll support this as well.
I seek a seconder. Councillor Harvey.
I reserve my right, thank you.
I think you might need to speak now. You speak now? I have no other name, so you don't wish to speak? All right, then I shall go back to Councillor Davey. Oh, sorry. Councillor Dawes.
I've got to ask this question. Page 258, right, is a summary. I see a lot of FTEs all through this document. Internal funding low, there might be a couple of mediums on external funding. So I'm just a little bit worried that this is a lovely document, but are we actually going to get some long-term benefit? You know, like, where's this funding going to come from? Is it through the individual councils or state government, federal government? Dr. Phil, just give me a bit more.
Through the Mayor, thank you, good question. Glad we're discussing this. All of the projects are designed to be scalable, so they can be started with the staff and the resources that councils already have. Resilient East has a great track record of obtaining funding. So at the moment, for example, Green Adelaide is funding Resilient East for roughly $60,000 or $70,000 a year. And has done that for a long period of time. And as is noted in the report, there's a $90,000 grant that was received recently. So the idea is that with this intent of this document, as a strategic document, is to go forward and get additional external funding to scale up these projects over time.
I thought you'd say that.
Councillor Wilkins, did you wish to say something?
Further question. Do you mean to say that the funds that we pay, dollars we contribute to the landscape levy, is partly going to fund some of this? We might get some outcome?
Through the Mayor, yes, Green Adelaide has funded Resilient East for a long period of time, at least the last 5 years, and that is money that is collected through the landscape levy that comes back to the Resilient East councils.
I shall now go back to Councillor Davey. All right, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Thank you, Dr. Filantine. Next one is Councillor Hallett, 11.7, page 274.
I'd like to move the recommendation, but I do have a number of questions. So can I start asking questions now? Thank you. Yeah. Noting on page 275 of the report, where it outlines what the petition identified, and when I read the report, in regard to water-centred urban design, the report actually doesn't make any recommendations about that there actually are no water-sensitive urban design elements in Lower Wattle Park, not one. And but it actually does have, and I actually worked out today, I counted how many trees just in that area, and there are 50 trees in Cooper Angus Grove, and a number of those, like the majority, by far the majority, are significant trees, but we don't have anything around trying to water them, and they're in quite restricted, you know, that's actually not a very big, wide road. They're just on a footpath. You know, we've just considered a Moreton Bay fig tree, but these are really big trees and they're very close to houses. So we do need a strategy for how we're going to preserve them and how are we going to get water to it. I think... Yes, are are we going to provide? And I've got some more questions around that. Like, how many water sensitive urban design elements do we do a year, and how do we prioritise where they go?
Through the Mayor, thank you for the question. Water sensitive urban design is a strong focus of Council, so we do roll out water sensitive urban design as business as usual, particularly as we're doing curb upgrades on streets. At the start of each year, each curb upgrade program is reviewed for the best locations to prioritise where water sensitive urban design measures are installed. We install a number each year, and that's reported through the Environmental Sustainability Report. That number can vary depending on the availability of spaces and the suitability of spaces, but sometimes it's somewhere between 40 and 60 per year. And there's another great project that Council's doing at the moment, which is the Protecting Significant Trees project, where we're trialling new methods of protecting trees, and we're rolling that out on significant trees like the one on the top of Stattenborough Street near Effie Ferguson Reserve. And that one has been successful in being implemented. It's a trial for 3 years, and if Council would like to, after that trial, a project like that could be continued to increase the amount of water sensitive urban design that is installed. Through the Mayor, there is action on water sensitive urban design. It's rolled out every year, and the locations are selected to make them cost effective, and locations are selected to make them environmentally effective. And so there is every chance that in the future some of those locations will be in the area. It just hasn't worked out that way until now, but we have a strong process to continue that into the future.
Councillor Dawes.
I wish to second the motion because I think Matt was really onto you then. Yeah, look, I understand where Councillor Hallett's coming from. I think the precinct plan is going to be a key here. Shashi and Kate, who are the ones that started this motion before us, 2 or 3 council meetings ago? I can't remember. They've met with you and so forth. They want to form a friends of group, but they also want to be involved in the future too. So I'm hoping that this motion is, we've listened to you. We're going to be looking at it. Thank you very much. It's all those things. Plus, we wish to still involve you in the design or whatever we want to do. I think the precinct plan is very key here. The planning code amendments are going to be harder because I think they mentioned how the blocks of lands are smaller in Wattle Park and there's not so many trees being planted and so forth. But that comes through Aaron's group. So I think there's a lot of things happening all around. But the key for me is still to have Shashi and Kate involved. But I'm happy to second the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Dawes. Councillor Wilkins, you're next.
Thank you, Mayor. Question to the staff, water sensitive urban design measures, by that do you mean the curb inlets that are situated in the face of the curb, as I saw in a masterclass at Waite many years ago? And is that the 650 that we have put into inlets in curbs all around the city or just in this area?
Through the Mayor, there are hundreds of those measures across the city. They are one type of measure that we have that is water sensitive urban design. There are many types of things that can be done that can be called water sensitive urban design. It's about getting more water into the landscape rather than letting it rush through, basically. We have a great website, Water Smart Burnside, where you can learn more about it and all the different types of measures that the council has employed to improve water and vegetation outcomes.
Is there subsequent question, if I may? Is there an example of an area that has bluestone paving in the curbs? Can we drill down between each paver to allow water to go to that particular street tree?
Through the Mayor, I'm unaware of an example with bluestone paving, but I haven't looked for one.
Okay, so maybe we could do a little trial. Thank you.
Very good.
Right, thank you, Mayor. In this report, there's lots of mentioning of community-led environmental steward groups. You've said it again and again. How would you set them up? What's the idea behind it?
Through the Mayor, I think a community-led environmental group needs to be community-led. Council has mechanisms to support community groups, but it's important that the community lead these groups.
Another question, how would you advertise for people? Because a lot of people don't know about these things. Or would it just be a little group who decide to take it on themselves?
Yes,
Which
if
is a
council
bit
was to establish a
selective.
community group, then it would be a council group rather than a community group. I think the benefit of having community groups involved is that they can augment things that council does, and council can augment things that they do, and we can work together on programs.
That's right, but how do you get into it? That's what I'm saying. Are you going to advertise or...?
If the community want to
online?
start a community group, we can be supportive of that, but the very essence of a community group is it is formed by the community.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. How do people know about it? Some of the older people in Wattle Park would love to be involved in this, but they don't have internet and stuff. So how do we reach those people?
The organisers of this particular project have created a website and have promoted it to their local community. I believe they might have done a letterbox drop.
Letterbox drop, okay, thank you.
Councillor Hallett, do you have a further question?
Another question, and it's just about in the report it mentions about precinct plans, and my familiarity with precinct plans is something that's around traffic management, and so I'm wondering what precinct plans you're talking about in regard to Wattle Park.
Through the Mayor, precinct plans can involve a whole number of different aspects, not just traffic management. So certainly habitat and trees and things like that can be considered as part of precinct plans.
That isn't what I've been told before, because I've asked
Councillor, it's not a debate, okay? So, are you happy to sum up now?
Look, I just think I'll just put the recommendation, please. Yeah.
Right, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. And thank you for the community group that got this started. Now we move to 11.9. No, we've done that. 11.12. Councillor Davey.
Before we start, Your Worship, could I declare a general conflict of interest, as over 10 years ago I worked with Paul Anderson, who is up for renewal at at the Burnside War Memorial Hospital. I did work with him, and it was over 10 years ago, but I just wanted to make that clear beforehand. I do not feel I have too much of a conflict. I will remain in the chamber and I will vote as well, but I just wanted to make that clear to begin with. Thank you.
Thank you for that declaration. And Councillor Davey, it's up to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm happy to move in accordance with the recommendation. There's quite some lengthy and varied points, which I'm sure you've all read. I just had two questions, if I may. One is about roses on page 376. I just need some clarification about 374, I beg your pardon. It's the Green Hill Road, Glenburn Road roundabout. And I'm not sure whether the roses have been replaced and why we need to remove them, and have they been replaced, as this is the prime planting season? And then I've got a second question.
Through the Mayor, yes, they have been replaced. I think I was actually asked this question at the last council meeting as well.
I thought they had, yes.
Yeah, so they were replaced in the last month, so this is the CEO report for the previous month. The roses that were planted were actually improper species. They would have grown too tall for the sightlines for the roundabout, so we replaced them with appropriate roses of the same colour.
So they're all white?
They're all white, that are appropriate for our team to manage and maintain.
Thank you. And the second one is in relation to East Waste on page 383. I just had a query about, because I noticed we had a very unfortunate incident where a rubbish load caught fire, I think last week, in Turak Gardens. And I just wondered what the resolution of that is. And then how, I guess we're doing all that promotional work to stop batteries getting into it. Is there anything more we can do?
Through the Mayor, I've got to say, the situation was actually handled incredibly well by the East Waste driver, East Waste themselves, and also our operations team. It was handled quickly, sensibly, and I think we got some really good feedback from the residents in the street as well, so I must say that. This wasn't a battery. We believe the expected issue was a tub of chlorine, the pool chemicals. That's what we believe it was, yeah. The truck realised its load was on fire, got to a safe location with no one around, dumped the load and immediately called the MFS. I think the matter was resolved and cleared up within 2 hours. This occurred on 3 p.m. on Friday, and I think by 6 p.m. on Friday it was all resolved with a bit of clean-up done the next day. Since then we've done social media, advertising, reminding people of what can and should not go in the rubbish, and we will also look to do something in a future focus as well.
I'll just ask a question about that. Sorry about that. I understand from when we visited East Waste that their bins, their trucks have got cameras that they can actually see what goes in. Were they able to track the culprit?
We don't believe so, but I'd have to take that on notice in particular to find out whether we've got the actual clear image.
I just wondered about the capacity, because if they're filming what goes, or photographing what goes into a bin, as I remember, can that be identified with a location? Whether the technology exists, that's all.
It can. Whether it happens consistently across the board and whether the RFID situation is working and whether it's clear is the other issue.
No, I was just curious. Sorry, the next person is Councillor Hallett. You seconding the report first? Sorry, are you seconding the report first? And you can then ask a question.
And then I've just got some questions,
Go for the questions.
Okay. Basically, there's two areas of my questions. One is the Native Vegetation Council, and the second one is the...
Page reference for the... Can you give us a page reference for the council?
391.
Thank you.
Yep. So in regard to the Native Vegetation Council, have we followed up with the Green Adelaide Landscape Board in regard to the letter that we had back from Dr. Marilyn Henderson from the Native Veg Council gave us, I think, 3 different areas to follow up. And I'm just wondering, have we actually followed up with Green Adelaide Landscape Board in regard to any potential for land purchase or help?
Through the Mayor, we did, right at the beginning of this process, contact Green Adelaide, and we did receive a response which indicated, they didn't indicate there was any interest in any land purchase. We have since left a message for their manager because we were requested to ask whether they would do a survey on the land area, the road area, and I've left a message there, but I have not received a response.
Okay. Second question? Yep. Have we followed up with Boral re any willingness to pursue a native vegetation heritage agreement?
Through the Mayor, a native heritage agreement would be if they retained the land, they would like to sell the land, and we still don't have any update, but we understand they're still in the final stages of the sale of that land. The only thing which I think we got some correspondence from the head of the Conservation Foundation was to engage with the new owners to see whether they would be wanting to do something similar, doing a heritage agreement. But of course that is something that you can ask and encourage, but you cannot compel, so.
Yeah.
I'm going to the next person now, Councillor Hallett.
Okay.
Next, you'll need to press your button again. Councillor Dawes, you're next.
I have 3 questions, but I'm going to ask 2 first. Page 366, and I know the answer, but I think that the CEO should explain further. Note 1, the last sentence of Note 1 on page 366, it says, and not requiring any supplementary elections for any resignations up to April 2026. What about for the period to April 2027, if there are any resignations? And
yes,
I know the answer.
Through the Mayor, that was an error. Originally, the legislation that was put forward through the government, through the House of Assembly, did have April 2026, and then further clarification was provided. So that should read, that is an error, and so that is April. It'll be until caretaker April 20.
It's correct from the first, but it's been subsequently amended.
Yes.
Thank you. As I said, next one is on page 378, and this was the issue 33B, and we had I think had 3 in 1 week involving the council. What has happened since then? I know it was being investigated. Mr. Cant might be able to provide more information, but where are we at with 33B involving the council worker and the glyphosate? Yes.
There was a WHS investigation undertaken, and that's just recently completed. The report's been finalised, and we will present some of those findings and recommendations to executive to look at our processes as part of that process. Anything relating to the staff matter is obviously between the organisation and the staff member, and that will be dealt with in accordance with our normal processes. I can't disclose that in this location.
Through the Mayor, no, that would be a staff issue. And
what's the recommendation going to be?
so we will provide an update back to council members.
Next is Councillor Jones.
A question, please. The letter we've had from the secret police about legal advice, we receive legal advice all the time. You communicate sort of legal advice. How are we supposed to know what's confidential and what isn't confidential?
Through the Mayor, my understanding is that the Ombudsman, the correspondence has been provided to all councils, and there have been instances that have come to her notice where legal advice has been given for a specific purpose, and it could be in legal confidence, and that advice has been provided on to someone else, which wouldn't really relate to. And my understanding is that that causes problems with legal privilege and confidentiality.
And through the Mayor, if I may, if there's something that's confidential legal advice, we will tell you that it's confidential.
So I can rely on that as a protection?
It'll be marked on the document.
So if you get a document from a solicitor, you can say that is confidential. If you're just paraphrasing in an email advice that council has received, that's not confidential generally?
Through the Mayor, yes, we will indicate if it's confidential. So we are strong on it when it is confidential. We will say it, and we'll actually put a sensitivity label on there, or we will actually say this is confidential advice. Other times we will say advice we have received is this. It'll be paraphrased, and if we haven't said that that's confidential, it's not confidential.
Councillor Davey.
Thank you. I have two more questions about East Waste, if I may. One was that fascinating story about the load being dumped and how efficiently that was managed and by all the parties. How do we get all the rubbish, how's all the rubbish picked up? Because it was a huge amount. And I just, what are the actual logistics of the transferring it to a new, getting it off the roadway, and do you transfer it to a new East Waste truck? And who does that? And then I've got a follow-up question.
Through the Mayor, our depot team arrived with machinery that actually scoops the waste up and puts it into a new East Waste truck.
Ah, so we've got a special piece of equipment.
Well, we have a loader that we do as part of that as our general processes, and also the street sweeper then attends to ensure that the street is appropriately cleaned of all the waste.
Thank you. And my other question, if I may, is regarding the East Waste Charter and its review. I'm just wondering how one of the things that's long bothered me is that I believe they could be more involved in recycling and the circular economy. Are they considering that, do you know, as part of this review, strengthening that and their role in the circular economy?
I think through the Mayor, that's probably a question more for the board position rather than the charter position. The charter is more of a governance document on how that is managed. We might take that one on notice a little bit in terms of providing further details.
Through the Mayor, the challenge is that not every council has the same appetite or the same level of enthusiasm for either green organics or recycling. Some councils wish to have a lowest cost service as possible, and sometimes when you putting more effort into your circular economy, introducing trials and doing requires a bit more effort and costing. So the charter really is trying to oversee the governance of it, and which we've had, Phil and the team have had a lot of input into that, because that was something that we're missing and should help us push some of those things, because we, even with the Resilient East Climate Action Plan, the City of Burnside and our council members were very active and involved in it, and some of the other councils involved were less active. So we're definitely keen on pushing the circular economy, as can be seen with us rolling out in September the food organics. So, but there will be some further updates surrounding recycling, which will be coming up soon at some point that we can bring back.
Councillor Wilkin?
Quick question. Thank you, Mayor. I was just asked this past week, actually, when somebody noticed somebody spraying weeds in, would you believe, Eastwood? And my question is, are they using Slasher just for a product called Slasher, which is not all glyphosate, for just minor weeds? And surely they would not be using Roundup or Garland, which are for the stronger, heavier weeds and trees and bushes, etc.
Through the Mayor, I'll take that one on notice, and further to Councillor Dawes' question, I'll respond to that as part of a round-off of the full
Then
investigation.
We know. Thank you.
Councillor Dawes?
Yes, my last question. Now, on page 386, third paragraph, I know Godfrey House, but I don't know Godfrey Terrace, and I've checked the map, the Google map. What? Where was Godfrey, not the Godfrey Terrace in Arundel, but the Godfrey Terrace in... Well, no, it's in Tyrwhitt Gardens. Is there a Godfrey Terrace, FREE, in... Is that a new road coming into the new hospital precinct, or page 386, third paragraph?
Isn't that Godfrey House?
Godfrey House and Godfrey Terrace, but is there a Godfrey Terrace, or is that a
spelling anyway?
no? Godfrey. I think Godfrey House is REE, isn't it? Yeah. There's also a Godfrey Terrace in Arundel. I understand that with a Y, but what's Godfrey Terrace in Tyrwhitt Gardens?
Good point.
Take it on.
I think we might have to take that on notice. I actually think that might. I think that might be an oversight. I think that should refer to Godfrey House. So I will.
Yeah, so that should be cut out. Okay.
I actually think that's just an error.
Yeah, I didn't know there's a new road going into their precinct or not.
Councillor Hallett, you got a question?
Yes. Page 414, and it's about our letter to Emily Burke, Minister for Climate, Environment and Water, about cat management. Have we had any response from her? And then I've got a second part of the question.
Through the Mayor, no, we have not received a response as yet.
Okay. Second part is, what is our policy and practice re nuisance cats? You would have seen my email just over the past week, what one cat can do. And I've since been in touch with the Animal Welfare League, I've been in touch with the RSPCA, I've been in touch with Cat Rescue, and it seems to me that nobody is doing anything to help anyone that's got a problem with a cat. And the only solution I can find for mine is to trap it and then beg my local vet if they will euthanise it. But it managed to actually kill an adult possum. It's not that big. I've seen.
All right, no debating.
Through the Mayor, we don't have the framework or the tools or to deal with these cats that do this. So even though it's, I appreciate your email, Councillor Haller, and some frustration with what a cat can do to our native wildlife, there's still challenges in how I think there have been occasions where we've dealt with a proliferation of cats, only because there was just so many of them and they were not treated well and they weren't in a good state. But we would may take that on notice and come back, like, what would we do? I think the answer will still be that we need a comprehensive approach through legislation, and if we don't have the legislation, what are the options? We'll need to come back to you.
Through the Mayor, if I may just add to that, The council also, in the past, they resolved to advocate for a consistent statewide approach, a statewide management framework. So that's the current position of council.
Yeah, well, I mean, that could be years away still. So we do nothing to help residents who have got a cap
Councillor
problem.
Cornish.
Thank you, Worship. Just had a thought with this Ombudsman letter, because this is, I think, the second one this year that we've received with sort of a one-page bit of advice. Whether or not, I know the induction policy for new members has been set, but maybe an actual session on the Ombudsman's recent advice that they have handed down, or recent decisions, might be a really useful way of going, you know, hey, if you get privileged information from a lawyer, probably best not to share it unless you ask us if you want to be absolutely sure. Like, you know, it's just an idea I had reading them, that we're getting these little bits about the conflict of interest, and now this one, you know, sharing privilege, but whether or not, I know we've said it and I don't want to reopen it with an amendment, but maybe you might think about trying to squeeze something in about the advice that all councillors have been receiving. That's just a thought. Thank you.
Through the Mayor, just on that one, yes, that is something that we're looking at with recent decisions. We've got some cases including conflict of interest, and that's another great addition. The other thing that we're looking to do as part of the induction process is invite the Ombudsman to come and speak alongside with the rest of the ERA councils.
Councillor Jones.
I am going to speak to the motion. Look, I don't know what the rest of you think, but I still meet a lot of residents who are very, very cross with Burnside Hospital. And I think we should support them in their crossness, because I'm cross too. And I'm remain ropeable that they went behind our back and withdrew from their application from our planning department and went behind our back to the SCAP. And the only conceivable action in response to that is to refuse to reappoint anybody to the board who was on the board when they took these actions. So I won't be voting for this motion, and I hope you won't either.
Councillor Turnbull.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm off of the hospital and back to Councillor Wilkins and Councillor Dawes when they were talking about use of sprays and what sort of spray, etc. Can I also ask, when you do that, a review of it, about signage, putting up signs for the poor old people in the park with their little pooches, please? Thank you.
Councillor Davey, I'm going back to you.
I'm happy. I just don't know who seconded it.
It was Councillor Hallett.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy for the vote.
All right, so I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Now, suggest that we have a 10-minute break now, and I do believe that we need to return and go straight to the confidential item. And then we can go back to the motions on notice after that, pending the time, however time is spent. None of the motions on notice are absolutely urgent tonight, but the confidential one is.
Mover and seconder for the break.
Yes, mover and a second for the break before you all disappear. I think by the exit is we've got a mover, we've got a seconder. Yes, Councillor Cornish, Councillor Wilkins. Sorry, and we need to inform the gallery. Yeah.
It's going to be confidential afterwards. So
yes. Yes. I'll go, Tom.
Who's
Well,
the older guy with
I don't know. I don't know. Joe's talking to him.
He's an Eastwood resident, isn't he?
Not that I know. No, I've never seen him.
I'm only joking.
I've seen the other creep though.
Yes.
Comes late to the day, on the day we're talking about it, and never says anything except what is in his best interest.
We move on.
Oh. I'm fine, thanks, Tim. Oh, I don't know.
Right, can I have someone move that we go into confidence, please? Councillor Cornish, I can usually, oh no, Councillor Wilkins, you've got your hand up first.
I'll actually move that we go into confidence, Madam
Thank you very much. Seconded by Councillor Cornish. All those in favour? Against? 10.1, motions on notice. And Mr Spearman would like to speak to you all first. 13.1, page 428.
I will need to.
Oh yes.
Through the Mayor, because this is to do with the CEO committee, I will declare a conflict of interest and shall leave.
Through the Mayor. Before Council considers this item, I'll briefly explain the process. It's a bit different and more efficient than the usual secret ballot process from what is being proposed in this motion. This motion has been drafted in two parts. The first part asks Council whether it wishes to appoint a Council member other than the Mayor as the presiding member of the CEO Review Committee. If Part 1 is unsuccessful, no further action is required, and the Mayor remains the presiding member under the committee's terms of reference. We would just move on to the next item of business after that. If Part 1 is successful, then Council will then consider Part 2 of the motion, which establishes the election process and appoints me as the returning officer. That appointment is important because it allows me to administer the election process and make the appointment. This means that we avoid the conflict of interest issues, which we normally have whenever it comes to one of these votes. As you'll recall, when somebody is nominated to a position, they then often leave the room with a conflict of interest, and then it's voted, and then it happens again. What this does, in effect, is allows me to appoint that person so that they don't have to leave the room. So, should Part 2 be carried, I will then call for nominations for the position of presiding member of the CEO Review Committee, and the Mayor is also welcome to nominate. Councillors may nominate themselves or another councillor, and if a councillor is nominated by another member, I will ask if they accept that nomination. If only one nomination is received, I will declare that councillor elected without the need for a ballot. If more than one nomination is received, Ms. King will distribute voting slips, and councillors should write the name of one nominated candidate only on their voting slip. Ms. King will then collect the slips. She will then read aloud each of them, and I will record them, and the candidate receiving the highest number of votes would be elected. Any voting slip that does not clearly identify a nominated candidate will be treated as informal and will not be counted. If there is a tie for the highest number of votes between two candidates, all other candidates will be eliminated, and the tied candidates' names will then be placed into a container, and lots will be drawn until just the one name remains. The remaining candidate, the one that's not drawn, is the one that's declared the winner. Once the count is complete, I'll declare the successful councillor elected as presiding member of the CEO Review Committee. So accordingly, I now call for nominations for the position of presiding member of the CEO Review Committee once we move the two parts of the motion. So I seek a mover for part 1 of the motion. So that's Councillor Harvey. And I suppose I can let you take over now. Would you wish to speak?
Thank you. I move part 1 of the recommendation of the motion, and the purpose of this motion is that we are in a very unique situation now with all elected members being a part of the CEO committee. This opens up an opportunity for an EM to be an alternate chair to the Mayor and assist the Mayor and support the Mayor in this role. This is not intended to criticise or diminish the Mayor's role, but enables the Mayor to contribute to have her say in the debate and input into the meeting. It strengthens the Council's overall leadership. This reflects a collaborative approach to governance by electing a council member to gain further experience. We do not have a deputy mayor, nor the costs of a deputy mayor. This equates to $400 per meeting, and we now know that the end of term is April next year. This proposal adopts the same principle, reinforcing our commitment to best practice governance and ensuring responsibilities are distributed in a way that supports the effective operation of council. This motion also recognises the importance of sharing leadership responsibilities across the council, enabling the mayor to continue being focused on her broader strategic, civic and community leadership roles. Other councils, I am told, have many different committees chaired by either a deputy mayor or elected member. I hope you will support this motion to support the mayor and provide an EM a unique opportunity under these circumstances to spread their wings, gaining further experience and knowledge and respect from EMs in this role. Many high-performance organisations separate strategic from executive oversight because it promotes transparency, shared leadership and robust governance. I hope you will support this motion in the way that it is intended to support the mayor, and I hope you will support this. Thank you.
I seek a second. Councillor Davey, you're seconding the motion?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm very happy to second the motion. For all the reasons that Councillor Harvey's outlined, I think this is an opportunity for a councillor to, for all those reasons that she said, have an opportunity to gain experience and to share the leadership roles and responsibilities with the mayor. So I hope you'll support this.
Councillor Dawes.
I just have a question. It might be to Mr. Spearman. Apart from chairing the meeting, what other responsibilities would the chair have at this point of time prior to the next election for the chair of the CEO Review Committee, apart from chairing the meeting?
Through the mayor, there is some additional duties required. So as part of the CEO committee terms of reference, the presiding member also has some functions in terms of the performance review that is currently underway. So one of the items is that the presiding member of the committee needs to actually draft a report in terms of the observations and the collation from that committee, and also needs to meet with the Chief Executive Officer in terms of delivering that feedback and so forth. I may ask Ms. King if I'm missing anything there, if that'll wrap it up. Okay.
And writes the final report that goes to council.
That's right, and writes the final report that is an attachment for council. It's more, from the presiding member's perspective, it's more the performance side of it. The remuneration is more handled by the independent consultant.
But who tells the CEO?
It is the presiding.
No, sorry, the chair of the committee tells the CEO, but that's only as, and then it goes to the comes as a report to council with a recommendation, the complete recommendations, with the commendations, the recommendations, and whatever has been recommended by the consultant that comes to the council to determine remuneration. Sorry, Councillor John.
I've got a question, please. The additional allowance, if there was a councillor appointed, is that councillor allowed to refuse the allowance?
Through the mayor, yes, it is possible. The mechanism to do so would be that you would need to write in to the Chief Executive Officer, and it would have to be a signature. An email wouldn't suffice. but it is possible that you can waive that through that mechanism. Yes.
I must admit, when I first became on council, I didn't even know we got remunerated. Yeah, you are allowed to nominate to choose to have no remuneration, or you can offer to provide your remuneration to a charity or charitable organisation. So.
I wanted to speak against the motion, please. I think regardless of the offered rationale, my response is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it is my view that this amounts to a vote of no confidence in our presiding member, which I consider to be unfair,
Point of order.
uncalled for, and an unnecessary expense.
Sorry, I have to handle the point of order. Yes, what is your point of order? Please explain it.
I did not say that there was a vote of no confidence. In fact, the opposite, that it was to support the Mayor in her role. So I'm not sure where the vote of no confidence comes from.
I said it was my view.
It is a perception, as an individual perception, but you didn't say it, I agree. It's not a breach of the regulations, so therefore it's not a point of order.
Okay. So basically what I was saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's my view that it does amount to a vote of no confidence. It's a veiled vote of no confidence. And I consider that to be unfair, uncalled for, and basically it's an unnecessary expense.
If there's no one else wishes to speak, then I shall go back to Councillor... Councillor Turnbull.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry, but it was broke. It is broke. And in the interest of seeking an improvement, I will certainly support the motion for a different chairperson. Thank you.
No one else is on my screen now, so I shall go back to Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody, for your input. I would like to reiterate, this is not an attack on the Mayor. It is not to diminish anything that the Mayor has said or done, but to actually support the Mayor. And I hope you understand that for the reasons that it's been put up, because we are in a unique situation. This would not have occurred if all elected members were not on the CEO committee. So it just gives an opportunity to an elected member to gain experience, to support the Mayor and not diminish the Mayor in any way. I hope you will support this. Thank you.
Those in favour? Those against? The motion's carried. Now we go to the next. Seek a mover for part 2. Councillor Jennings. Seconded by Councillor Davey.
He has the right to speak, though.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. You can speak to it first, Councillor Jennings.
No, I won't speak to it. It's all down here on my other page. Thank you.
The seconder was Councillor Davey.
Thank you. Yes, I think this is a great process. I mean, I've just supported the motion. And so I think we need to go ahead and find out who is happy to stand in this role and go down the process. So thank you. I'm happy to second it.
So now I'm calling... You're calling for nominations.
I will. Okay, so now we have the opportunity. So if anybody wishes to nominate who wishes to gain experience in chairing and leadership of a committee, now is the time. So if you have a good candidate in mind who is, what's the word? No, the word escapes me now, but they need to be incredibly fair and even. Thank you.
Need to put the motion.
Through the Mayor, we had a mover and a seconder, and then it's gone back to the mover to sum up. Councillor Jennings has now summed up, so now the Mayor needs to put the motion, and that needs to be voted upon, and then I will call for nominations.
Right, I'll move the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Motion's carried. Division's been called. Those who voted in favour, please stand. Councillor Jones, Jennings, Wilkins, Dawes, Turnbull, Cornish, Harvey and Davey. Against, Councillor Hallett.
Thank you. So through the Mayor, accordingly, I will now call for nominations for the position of presiding member of the CEO Review Committee. So please indicate if you would like to nominate yourself or someone else. Councillor Jennings.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to nominate Councillor Dawes.
Councillor Dawes, do you accept that nomination?
Can I hold that? And I'm going to say no at this stage, and I would like to nominate the Mayor.
And I will accept the nomination.
Councillor Dawes nominates the Mayor, and the Mayor accepts the nomination. Is there anyone else? Councillor Davey.
I'm happy to nominate Councillor Jones.
Councillor Jones, do you accept that nomination? So Councillor Davey has nominated Councillor Jones, and Councillor Jones has accepted that nomination. Is there anyone else? Councillor Davey, you still have your microphone on. Councillor Harvey.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Cornish.
Councillor Harvey nominates Councillor Cornish. Councillor Cornish, do you accept that nomination?
Yeah.
Is there anyone else? Okay, then we have three candidates. We have the Mayor Monceau, we have Councillor Jones, and Councillor Cornish. So we will now, I'll ask Mrs. King to pass around a voting slip to each person. Please write one name and one name only on that voting slip, and then Mrs. King, I almost called her Councillor King, will come through and collect all of the ballots and with the bucket. Okay, I will now ask Mrs. King to read out each name one by one and I'll count the tally.
The first one is Councillor Cornish. Mayor Monceau. Mayor Monceau. Councillor Cornish. Councillor Jones. Mayor Monceau. Councillor Jones. Councillor Jones. Mayor Monceau. Councillor Jones.
Congratulations, Councillor Jones.
Actually, sorry, the total vote count is the mayor has 4 votes, Councillor Jones has 4 votes, and Councillor Cornish has 2 votes. So the process now is the mayor and Councillor Jones go back into the bucket, and I will be drawing lots, so it's just one name of each. So the mayor and Jones, and then the one that I pull out of the bucket will be eliminated. Yes. So the way that a tie is decided, the 2 that are tied, which is the mayor and Councillor Jones, their names go back in the bucket, and it's called drawing lots. And so what occurs is I draw a name out, and that name is eliminated, which means the remaining name in the bucket is the winner.
So Councillor Cornish has dropped out.
Councillor Cornish has been removed, yes. The name that I have drawn out is Mayor Monceau, so therefore Councillor Jones will be the presiding member for the the CEO committee.
Congratulations, Councillor Jones. Now, we need to invite the CEO back. No, Councillor Jones is now the CEO committee chair. So I shall attend when I feel like it.
Where's it written on the motion?
You've got what you wanted.
Can I just ask where it is?
You've got Councillor Jones.
Oh, yes, I know it. Okay. In the motion is here.
Yeah. That's okay.
No, I'm looking for, in the motion.
How many meetings have we got? 4 first time round? Next one is motion is 13.2, artificial intelligence. Councillor Davis.
Thank you. Thank you. I've moved this motion on notice because artificial intelligence is rapidly transforming how local government operates. It's offering new ways to improve service delivery, create efficiencies, and enhance customer experience. In South Australia, councils and employees are already experimenting with AI tools, especially generative AI, to help with tasks like drafting documents, assisting customer service, writing reports and analysing complex data, often before any formal policy is in place. We operate in a dynamic environment driven by technology, changing community expectations and increasing demand for efficiency and transparency. While the private sector is utilising AI to streamline services, reduce costs and improve customer experience, it is important for governments to consider timely and responsible adoption to remain effective and relevant. Visible interfaces such as chat assistants and digital help tools represent only a fraction of how AI systems operate. Much of the capability sits within embedded services inside platforms and data pipelines, including autonomous agents and decision support systems that optimise operations, generate insights and act within defined guardrails under human oversight. These embedded capabilities exist in council systems and in third-party products. For example, in recruitment, a chat assistant may support applicants, while vendor systems perform screening, skills matching, candidate sourcing and interview analysis. Many suppliers now deliver platforms with model-assisted features, even when AI is not presented as a product feature, underscoring the need for councils to identify and govern these uses. Recognising this broad spectrum of AI applications underscores the importance of transparency and responsible governance. Councils must clearly understand and take responsibility for AI use, both in-house and by vendors, to ensure adoption is informed, ethical and trustworthy. I know a lot of work's already been done by the administration on artificial intelligence, and I know we've got operations and wonderful services being provided in the library to support our community, but I think the intent of this motion is just to formalise this, to bring a report to council to show exactly what's going on, how we're approaching it and using it across the board. So I hope you'll support it.
Do we have a seconder, Councillor Jennings?
Yeah, happy to second this. This is probably a good opportunity to have a report on this, but the City of Burnside can possibly lead the local government sector. I thank Councillor Davey for bringing this up. I muck around a lot with all these AI apps and programs, and some of them are slop and some of them are reasonable. People talk about AI, artificial intelligence, like it's a brand new thing, but you know, on the machines we've got now, like the software, it's pretty much just been doing that for about the last whenever spell check came out. That I'm pretty sure that would fall under the banner of artificial intelligence. But now AI is it's proving to be incredibly harmful for the environment, with the amount of water it takes to cool these data systems, the amount of power it's pulling from the network as well. Some of them are being set up ethically, i.e. with their own power sources, which is renewables, and some are not. So many data centres are being set up in parts of the world where some people don't really give two hoots about the environment or global warming, or whether they care or not. It's amazing, but I'm a big fan of data, as you all know. I'm a bit of a nerd, and I think this is a good opportunity for the City of Burnside to lead from the front foot. Thank you, Councillor Davey, for bringing this up. Thank you.
Councillor Dawes?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm probably the opposite to Councillor Jennings, because I'm IT deficient. I'm from the wrong generation. So what I was really interested in was the second part of Councillor Davies' motion about interim advice. No, I got it wrong. Second, interim guidance for council members. This might be putting a bit of pressure on Barry here. But what are you thinking of interim guidance for council members that could help people of my vintage? Ashley's going to answer it, Kurt. That's good, because I thought you were going to say something else. So I'll pass it to you, Ashley, please.
No, through the Mayor, thank you, Councillor Dawes. So the guidance would be around sort of do's and don'ts in terms of how to use AI ethically. So that could be, being mindful of what you're using, things like ChatGPT. If you're putting confidential information in there, that would be something that we would not recommend. So it would just give you some hints and tips in using it ethically.
Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a question that relates to a news item I heard today about the federal government, and they're saying they won't have a report available until next year. I'm wondering, I don't have an issue with any of the recommendations, but I'm just wondering about the timing. Should we wait for the federal government report? Because that's going to be pretty defining, and it will provide the rails that we'll need to stick on. So I'm just wondering how that applies to if we go ahead now without that being defined.
Through the Mayor, we can take that into consideration when we're preparing the report to Council. However, AI is evolving quite quickly. We would need to take that into consideration, and we can put that into the report as to whether we recommend that or not.
Okay.
Councillor Turnbull, could you turn your mic off, please, Councillor Hallett?
Thank you, Mayor. I've two questions. Is AI already being used in council for reports, etc.?
Through the Mayor, artificial intelligence is being used widely across the sector. So that there's been a group that's been created to make sure that it's being used ethically across the sector.
Next question is, what % do you use in a report, say? Is there like a limit?
Through the Mayor, so we have Copilot is one of the tools that we have used and have approved. We've also got part of a trial that Ash will be able to talk a little bit further about. So it can be useful when there is a lot of data and information that you can get to summarise. So if you had to look at a piece of legislation that is very long, you could put it through AI and it could come up with a summary which might be fit for purpose for what you need to use. What it can't do is provide critical thought and analysis. That is still is largely what our staff need to do still. So it's, I would say at this point, it's, I wouldn't give a percentage, but I would say it's fairly low.
Can I have a third question, please? Mine is...
No, I've been at
okay.
all night giving two questions, and now I will go to the next person. I'll come back to you. Councillor Wilkins.
My question is that phrase, interim guidance. I would ask, is there any interim guidance for geriatrics in this community? Because I'm one of them when it comes to IT. That we could attend a session. Are we operating any sessions we have an IT room or something in the library where we can come and be actually, shall I say, educated, upskilled for an hour or two or something? I would appreciate that, and I'm sure others would too.
Through the Mayor, yes, we do. We have a really excellent program in the library where they do provide that guidance and education. I don't have the details off the top of my head, but that is definitely something that we offer to the community. Through the Mayor, I don't have those details, but we can share that with the council members, absolutely.
Councillor Turnbull, you didn't put your name back up. I assume you still want that third.
Just the other question is, do you check it for, when you use AI, do you check for accuracy? Thank you. Yes or no? Yeah.
Councillor, sorry, did you want to speak?
Just through the Mayor, while Belinda will provide some detail, Councillor Wilkins, in my CEO report on page 366, there's BTEC sessions that we provide. Yeah, and so that just shows some of the things that we do, but actual details and timing of those sessions we'll follow up with.
Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank Councillor Davey for putting up this motion, and also I'd like to thank administration for supporting this motion by identifying opportunities, risks, safeguards and future directions. AI is used everywhere. It's a hot topic. Love it or hate it, you need to embrace it because it is here. Even lawyers are using AI. Everybody's using it. So I hope you will support this motion, and thank you, Councillor Davey, again.
Councillor Jones.
I've got a question, please. My understanding is AI guzzles vast amounts of electricity and water. Are we tracking our secondary emissions from using all this AI?
So through the Mayor, we had a symposium not long ago that was in-house, and I would have mentioned that through in my weekend review. And one of the key things is that that symposium really was testing staff right across our organisation about what are the things, what's our appetite level, what do we want to use AI. And one of the considerations that we need to think is that would using AI and using huge amounts of energy actually be contrary to our net zero climate target? And so one of those things, so while there is a great value in efficiency, in time, there are downsides of that. So there are things that we are working, we're going slowly, and Ash has led with her team a great process for us to take these steps, but knowing exactly where the guardrails are and how can we use things in a way such as traffic management, like rather than putting the cords across the road where you count how many cars go across as part of your traffic data. AI can use so many other sources through satellite, whatever, to provide data much quicker. But that might be something that we would have a staff member check that afterwards. So that it does that sort of thing. But there are things like climate emissions and use of water that we would need to take into account.
Can I go back to Councillor Davey now to sum up? No? Sorry, Councillor.
Just wanted to ask a question. Every time we use Google, is that artificial intelligence? You know, because you put in anything and it gives you an answer. Sometimes it will provide a reference, other times it doesn't.
Through the Mayor, I might take that one on, is that it has now inbuilt its AI into its default search engine, so it's almost like it's going back to the Ask Jeeves days. If anyone remembers that, but because you can now ask it a question, it'll now answer. But yes, the answer to that question is yes. AI is now embedded in a lot of different software. It's in graphic design software. It's in our Adobe software. It's built in so many different things now. Whether we like it or not, we're using it, and sometimes we don't even know that we're using it.
If you want to solve a crossword puzzle word, you type in your crossword clue, and AI is giving you the answer. And so it's everywhere. Okay, Councillor.
Thank you everyone for your input and for your questions. I should have said up front, thanked Matt and his team for drafting this incredible motion on notice. I had a go at first and then withdrew it because it wasn't adequate. They had another go at it and have made it much more accurate and doable. So as someone made the point, AI is with us, it's happening at a huge rate. We already have some local councils that have developed policies. I know Adelaide City Council and I believe Port Adelaide have policies, and which is for use locally and for all their software use. As has been raised, the data centres are a major problem community-wise, and I think that was referenced in terms of actions and legislation that the federal government's bringing in. I think that's largely to do with data centres, although it might also be other aspects as well. But there are some environmental issues as well, and we have to consider those, as the CEO has outlined. I thank the LGA, the South Australian LGA, for some of the information I used tonight. They've already started, the Local Government Association has already developed some leadership on artificial intelligence for councils to make sure, you know, on its application and its ethical use. So it's all starting to happen, and I think it's really timely that Burnside coalesces it all. The staff, the administration have already had a symposium and have done a whole lot of work. It's widely used in our business, so it'd be great to have all this information in a report to council, and, as someone mentioned, some classes for some of us who would really appreciate increasing our knowledge about its application. Hopefully you will support this. Thank you.
All those in favour? Against? Carried. Next is Councillor Cornish, advocate for monthly rate payments, page 436.
Thank you, Worship. And members, this is a motion written by AI. I'm not joking. I ask it what to do and it writes it for me, and even references the right parts of the Local Government Act for me, which is great, and I do double check them. You do have to read it, and sometimes you delete some things as well because it goes a little bit too far. But members, this it's pretty self-explanatory. I think the world has evolved where we don't have to pay things every quarter in our lives. We're paying things monthly. We can pay things now in a second. Cheques don't exist anymore. There are a lot of things that have changed since this. Oh, well, I'm pretty sure most banks, Councillor Wilkins, have stopped cheques these days.
I received a cheque from government.
Okay. Well, that's very odd. But I would suggest that things have progressed in the financial world quite a bit further than the 1999 Act was originally written. And this is just advocating to the Minister and to our sector as well, the Local Government Association and an AGM of the Local Government Association, to seek for councils to move to a monthly rates payment, pretty much like every other payment we have to do in our lives these days. Bill shock is a big thing out there, and some members of the public would appreciate being able to obviously pay on a monthly basis, and I understand council does provide different payment methods when people are on hardship payments, but this would just make it a standard thing for everyone in the state to go to a monthly payment for council rates, which I think would be an actually much better thing to do than receiving rather large bills each quarter or once a year as well for some. So I do hope you support this motion in advocating for some change for ratepayers around the state. Thank you.
Councillor Dawes, you seconding?
Yeah, I'm going to second it because it's sensible. It's moving with the times, just like the last motion, actually, according to about IT. And what I like about it, it sets forward, even though it's IT that's been helping you here, it sets forward the way forward. You know, write to the Minister, go to the Local Government Association, get support and so forth. I just think it's going to work this way, and I'll be surprised if other councils don't support it as well. Thank you.
Councillor Harp.
Thank you, Mayor. Very happy to support this motion, and thank Councillor Cornish for putting this up and making it very clear. Thank you.
Councillor Davey.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions, if I may. It sounds a fabulous idea, and I can acknowledge all the changes that are happening. what costs would there be for council in changing over from a quarterly position to a monthly position for charging the rates?
Through the mayor, it would have to go through a quotation process or procurement process when we got to that. Right now, we aren't set up to do it, so we would have to get a third-party software of sorts. In that, there's part of the motion which is 2B, that if the default method is electronic, that reduces the postage costs considerably. So that's a very strong inclusion that would actually help divert some of the costs. The software setup would have to be, if this was to get through, we'd have to budget for it in the business planning process, but it's probably in the order of somewhere between, I don't know, $30,000 to $50,000 depending on the quotes to get us set up and have the software, and then there'd be an annual software maintenance fee every year after that.
Councillor Hallett? Councillor Davey, can you turn your mic off, please?
I've got another question.
Well, I've already moved to the next person because you didn't say you had another question. All right, go on, Councillor Davey. Ask your question.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question. I'm so sorry. Would this be a compulsory position once this was transferred across to? And what contingency would there be for our significant older population who may not want to pay their bills monthly? Thanks.
Through the mayor, this may be something that could be also covered off by the mover. However, my interpretation of this is it's a standard installment option. And in terms of the electronic side, if that's where your concern is, that's the default method, but it doesn't preclude alternative arrangements for ratepayers who required printed notices.
Now can I ask Councillor Hallett?
Thank you. In regard to, at the moment we've got 4 instalments, or you can pay it up front, or however you want to do it. If you miss an instalment, you get a fine. And I'm just wondering what would happen with the monthly if would we fine people for a late payment? And would that cover the cost of moving to a different setup?
Through the mayor, again, it's one where through direct debit it shouldn't, but that type of operational detail would be more hashed out a little bit later. First, it would have to get through this, and then we would through direct debit. It like I say, it shouldn't. But if someone falls behind a little bit, it'd be similar to any other monthly bill.
Councillor Davey?
Just in terms of, because that was a very good point made about possible fines. No, I'll consider this. Sorry, I'll consider what everybody else.
Who moved the motion? Councillor Cornish, I'll go back to you.
Thank you, Worship. This isn't going to happen overnight, right? This is only advocating. I'm asking for it to be put on the agenda for an LGA meeting, so they'll discuss it. The minister would have to discuss it. It would have to go out to consultation to all councils, even if they thought it was a good idea, and they might not think it's a good idea. They might like the quarterly. This is only advocating to reduce the bill shock to people. All the issues that have been raised, the fees and charges, etc., and the electronic delivery and looking after the mail people, that would all come out through that process. This is just putting the idea out there to say, hey, there's some people out there with bill shock and they would actually prefer to be able to pay their rates on a monthly basis, like every other bill that they've got. Can we make that the standard? That's all the request is, and it might get shot down. So it's only asking. It's not us doing it at all. We still have to abide by the law, which at the moment says every quarter. So I hope you support this motion. It's only asking the question, can the laws be changed so we can make, monthly a standard? It's not going to happen here in Burnside overnight. I can tell you right now. I wish it would, but it can't, because there's a law. Thank you.
All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Councillor Jennings, 13.4, page 439.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I'm just asking the Chamber for your support so we can write a letter of support to the City of Adelaide to be a bid partner in support of Adelaide and its rural settlement landscape UNESCO World Heritage bid. Adelaide is the only city in the world that is surrounded by parklands. The parklands are bigger than Central Park in New York. Absolutely world unique. Thinking 50 years ahead, and if the state government keeps going with their death of 1,000 cuts, there will be nothing left. Now, I have to thank Jason for his help with this. I didn't use AI, but he might have. I don't know. Oh, he looks guilty. But look, South Australia when Australia was being founded, South Australia was this free settlement. It was this brainwave, let's go and create this utopian society. We'll go and build a city that is a mile by a mile, and we'll go and have all the streets all lined up, and we'll surround it with parklands. Now, back in those times in England, the only people that had access to this sort of open space and open greenery was the very wealthy, and they owned it, and they fenced it off, and they had hunting parties, and they did whatever they wanted. But he came to South Australia and decided, yep, this is what we're going to do. We're going to build this city along the River Torrens, and what we've got, there is an existential threat of it just disappearing. So I've worked really hard to avoid mentioning the car race and the motorcycle race, where they celebrate it by flying these war machines 150 metres off the ground. A little bit like how Hannibal invaded countries with elephants. If it's true or not, I don't think it did happen like that. But Eastwood Glenunga has a very high migrant population, and for some of these families, this must be absolutely terrifying to hear these machines that they escaped from. And it's not very green. Let's just go and jump on with the City of Adelaide and write a letter and see what happens, and let's see if we can get these parklands World Heritage listed. Thank you.
Councillor Wilkins, you seconding?
I am indeed, and I'd like to thank you for bringing this motion to other councils, and I'm very happy to support it. But I have to say that World Heritage has been going longer than just of late because of the car race. In fact, when I first came onto council, once again I went to the Wait, and there was a whole seminar on the importance of Adelaide's colonial planning system with the town acres and the country acres. And why did I go? Because one of our residents at the time, Stephanie Johnson, lived in Eastwood, and she was doing a very big study on Adelaide's plans for town acres and country acres, etc., and the whole settlement of our colony way back then. That was in about 2003 to 6, and it's subsequently grown from there. National Trust is also doing World Heritage listing for settlement and copper development with Moonta and Burra, and also Australian Garden History has been doing this, and we recently had a weekday seminar in the Adelaide Botanic Gardens with Jane Lennon, who I got to know when the parklands, Adelaide Parklands, were World Heritage listed, or National Heritage listed actually, back in the early days of the Howard Cabinet, when I worked for the Minister for Environment and Heritage federally. And that's when Senator Robert Hill listed the parklands for National Heritage, put it forward. The other reason is that it's still continuing to this day, and Jane Lennon, who is on the ICOMOS committee, was here for Borough's 50th year just recently, and I have a copy of the Sustaining Adelaide Parklands cultural landscape, which she is part of the originators for. So they want to sustain the parklands by stronger legislative protection and maintain the parklands as a single continuous landscape, and they want to guarantee public accessibility to the parklands and give and include the Kaurna voice in this settlement. But of course, under the current government, minimisation, not important. Well, we think it is important, and we have a very big historic settlement in this state, which is quite unique in the world, and that's why Garden History has taken it up. And thirdly, I have a map. Second bill, okay. I have a map to pass around to all of you, which is showing the removal of 45 trees in the parklands, which you've all noted, because you've seen the yellow ribbons.
Next one is Councillor Davey.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Jennings, for bringing this to Council. I'm very happy to support it. I won't say much more, but it's all been said, and I'm very happy to that you've raised this and we'll put it forward. So I hope everybody supports it.
Councillor Howard.
I've just got a question, please. Is this the? It's in regard to what it's called. Is this the Adelaide Parklands UNESCO World Heritage bid, or is this something different? I'm confused because it says rural settlement landscapes. So is it the one that been working on for years? Yes. Okay, all right.
Through the Mayor, Councillor Hallett, there was originally just a World Heritage bid for the parklands, and then you'll see with Councillor Jennings' motion that there were other councils wanted to actually list the rural landscapes and how Adelaide was planned back in colonial times, and so the parklands bid, Adelaide Hills was the main lead council at that point, and they combined the two.
Could you turn your mic off, please? Councillor Jones.
I've got a question, if I may. Last time I looked, there isn't a world government, and the state government certainly doesn't report to it. So what actually does this World Heritage bid do?
Through the Mayor, World Heritage listing provides, I suppose, additional protections and also economic opportunities too. So the Narracourt Caves are World Heritage listed, and so they attract more funding, they attract tourists, and so it's very much a status thing, but does provide some, I'm not sure exactly the additional legal protections it provides, but it does absolutely provide recognition on a global stage, listed at UNESCO, and also provides, as I mentioned, just other attractions and economic opportunities. There is another bid for the Ediacaran fossils in the Flinders Ranges, which is also in the process of being heritage listed.
Can I ask a follow-up question then? Does the state government or the Commonwealth government get any say in this application?
Through the Mayor, yes, they must. The councils cannot list. It must go through the state government and then through the Australian government. is a very long process.
Right, shall I go back to you, Councillor Jennings, or can I put the motion? Oh, have you got another question?
No,
Or do
I'm
you want
going
to
to
speak?
speak. Sorry. This strikes me as entirely quixotic, if not damaging, that we're going to... The City of Adelaide is running its little campaign against the state government, which is destined to lose badly. And we're associating with it, and we're trying to get things from the state government, and annoying them seems to be particularly stupid. Let's let the City of Adelaide annoy the state government, and let us not annoy the state government and be the beneficiary of the state government's largesse.
Now, Councillor Jennings?
Happy for it to be put.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Next is Councillor Turnbull, page 442, greening of the Civic Centre.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, last meeting I put up a motion to refresh the atrium on the Burnside Council, and I'd like to move to another one, but refreshing the Civic Centre, the City Plaza. 2 weeks ago, after the excellent informative workshop Environmental Sustainability Projects presented by Dr. Phil Roteman, he included an update of the Greening Adelaide project. As I stepped out into the courtyard on my way to the car, I thought, these pavers need a deep clean, lots of lichen and moss on them. They're pretty old. And then my thoughts focused on the workshop and the Greening Adelaide principles. The pavers are not only dirty, old and tired, but they actually need to go, leaving enough for a pathway to the doors leading to the library and some under the overhang where the bike racks are. If some of the old pavers within the courtyard can be replaced with permeable landscaping, garden beds with flowers, attractive bushes, even a suitable small tree or two, this will not only refresh a rather tired entrance, but also provide a greening and cooling effect. The City of Burnside is committed to creating a cooler, greener, environmental, sustainable city. This proposal that I'm making aligns with our Council's sustainability goals, which include increasing tree canopy, supporting a water-sensitive urban design, and creating greener public spaces. I'm asking for a report with costings and funding considerations to support the greening and refreshing of this area, noting that it is adjacent to a sealed car park and gets very hot, and to align with the strategies which we are working with at Burnside Council, actually adopting these environmental objectives and also giving a tired area a facelift. I ask for your support for this proposal.
Councillor Wilkins, you seconding?
I'm very happy to second this. I'm still green.
Are you speaking now, or?
I am speaking now, thank you very much. I actually do approve. I would also add in 3A that we also consider potential landscape and architectural design options, because I have always said when it's summertime and it's baking sun out there in that octagonal courtyard, we should have a canopy over the courtyard that actually... No, I'm not amending it. I'm just saying that in this investigation, this report, there could be an opportunity to just put a canopy over that particular space, because it could be done so that the sun is deflected away from the baking surface underneath, and that would complement all of that Jenny wants in this project. So there, just a tweak, and it could be considered, and it could be improved. And I totally agree with everything she said. Thank you.
Councillor Davey.
Thank you. I'll just be short and sweet. Thank you, Councillor Turnbull, for this motion. I couldn't agree more. I think the whole area, it's very timely for us to make it cooler and greener in particular. We have hundreds of kids each day and young families, as well as the older population, using this space every day. It's incredibly popular. I'd love to see it greener and cooler, and that we can use the cafe more, that we can spread the cafe out into the Civic Centre space. So I'll be most interested in the report.
I shall go back to Councillor Turnbull. No,
Oh.
Councillor Wilkins, you've got a question.
Actually, something else I'd like to see.
You can only ask a question. Councillor Turnbull, you can sum up. Your shading is in number D, anyway.
I forgot to acknowledge, but I thank Mr Brennan for this wording of this motion. He's done it very succinctly, and everything I wanted to say, he's done. So thank you very much, and I really hope you vote for this, because it would really make a difference out there, because it does look a bit scrubby. Thank you.
Those in favour? Those against? Motion's carried. Before I close the meeting today, thank you for all your attendance. I just wanted to pass on this card of congratulations and good wishes to Councillor Jennings, who is getting married on Saturday. And I shall close the meeting at 10:13, and thank you for your attention.